So we're gonna start with the external workload. How do we manage that better? So I'm gonna give you 7 tools, and I'm gonna start with my favorite first, the one that has helped me the most. And I believe it's also the first one I actually developed, and it's gonna be pretty simple, but I have reason to believe that even some very successful people do not use this technique. I've seen a very high performance individual not apply this technique. Okay, so the technique is this. Always carry a block of paper and a pen on you when you're working, okay? So you write down everything you have to do, so you only remember one thing, and that is the thing you're working on at the moment. And the logic behind this is that it actually creates a lot of stress if you try to remember 10 or 15 things you have to do that day, right? Makes a lot of sense. Like if I tell you a phone number and I tell you have to remember this right now, then you will get stressed. But if I tell you, hey, I'm gonna tell you an 8-digit number now, and you're allowed to write it down for your convenience, then you say, okay, that's gonna be easy, right? It's exactly the same principle. So by always carrying pen and paper to write down what you need to do, then you don't have to be stressed out about having a lot of stuff to do. It's so simple, but I've seen successful people, very smart people, not even do this. They try to remember everything. It's kind of a macho mentality thing, but it creates a lot of unnecessary stress. And then there's a little bonus here, and that is you can also write a number for priority. So after you've written down your to-do list, you can write down a number 1 for the most important thing, and then number 2 for the second most important. So you just add numbers to each item on your to-do list. So you have an idea of priority, because then you're also sure that you will at least get the things done that are very important to get done. So that also reduces stress if you know that, oh, at least if I make it in this order, then I won't be stressed out if I don't get the important things done, right? The second one I have regarding external workload is going to be, during your day, you should have some clear finish lines, such as your lunch break, when you have day off after work is done. Then this, when I say a clear finish line, I mean you shouldn't work into your lunch break. You shouldn't continue working, like answering emails during your lunch break, because then you continue to build the stress instead of using the lunch break as a time to get back into the natural state of rest and recovery, and letting the stress like decrease a bit, and then you can like start again when you work. Maybe the stress will gradually increase a bit, but it won't continue building throughout the day. And that exact same principle applies after work when you have day off. You should not continue working on projects into late at night. Like, it's just gonna be a never-ending vicious circle of building up stress long term. So it's important to have clear set finish lines, and that also includes holidays, for example. So you should have, it's good to have a day off every week, or even half a day off, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You can maybe just have a half day off. That will help a lot. It's much better than no day off. So having these well-defined finish lines, as I call them, is also a very powerful tool. So make sure you have time to spend time in rest and recovery. My finish line for work is after dinner. Then I don't pay attention to any customer emails or messages, unless it's extremely urgent, of course, but usually it's not, right? So that was number 2. Have well-defined finish lines so you don't create like a vicious circle of constant stress build up. You have to have all these finish lines throughout the day and in the weekend, and even holidays where you let the stress level come down and get back into your natural state of rest and recovery. Pretty simple, very powerful. Now the third one I have is a very simple one as well, but it's quite well acknowledged also in scientific circles. And that is, during the day, if you experience that you are clenching your jaw, which is a common stress response, and you have like tightness in your shoulders, then try to replace that with a deep breath and relax your shoulders and let the jaw relax as well. This is a very hands-on tip in my opinion, because the tighter you get, the more ingrained this habit will be of building up this tension that is a stress response. So if you practice to breathe more deeply throughout your day and pay attention, if you start tightening up in your jaw or your shoulders, then take a deep breath and relax your jaw and shoulders again. And also maybe correct your posture a bit so you sit more upright. Then you're ready to go again. That was also like a really hands-on tip, but it's very effective, okay? The next tip I call first step focus. And that is a tool you can use when you have a really big job or a really big difficult task ahead of you that seems overwhelming, okay? Then this technique will tell you to just focus on the first step of the task, because if you can visualize the first step, then you can also see it as, okay, it's not that bad just doing that first step. And then when you've done that, then you see, okay, what's the next step? And then you just focus on each step ahead. You can also make it less stressful and overwhelming if you just write down all the steps to get an overview, and then have it on paper, and then just focus on the first step only. So you just reduce your focus to that step, and that's going to feel less overwhelming and less stressful. And then you're going to feel a little bit more calm and feel a little bit better. So that's also a nice technique I like to use. The next one is batching your work. So what does batching mean? So if we use emails as an example, you could say that you reply all your emails one time in the morning at 9 a.m. and then you reply the emails again after lunch. And then before you go home, you reply the most important emails again. So you do 3 batches in one day. And that is way less stressful, much more relaxing, and you will feel a lot better if you do it that way. It will also maybe make you more efficient on replying emails, instead of doing the opposite, where you're just constantly responding to your phone, and it will constantly distract you from your work as well. Use batching. It could also be with other parts of your work. You can stay more focused on one task and get more high quality work done with less interruptions. The next tool is also really simple, and that is regarding being organized. So if you have a nice clean desk like this, a nice orderly table, then that is more enjoyable and less stressful than if you have like pieces of paper everywhere and a lot of mess that is unorganized. The same thing goes for what's inside your computer. Actually, having really clear, simple systems for how you put files into your computer can make it less stressful to work with your computer. I think that's common sense, but I just wanted to mention it. Again, even though it's simple, it's a powerful tool that can help reduce stress and make you feel better during your workday, okay? And the next one is also regarding organization, how to be organized. And that is the simple tip of having separate notebooks for different categories of work. So instead of having one notebook where you mix all your notes for different parts of your work together, then have a separate notebook for each part of your work, or private or sports. You get the point. You know, it's really hard to find stuff if it's all mixed together, right? So have separate notebooks instead of just mixing it all together. It helps tremendously. So that was 7 tips and tools and techniques for how you can manage your external workload better. Okay?